Hi guys, welcome to the Cool Library. In this video I will be talking about all the movies that I watched in the second quarter of the year, so the movies that I watched in April, May, and June. I watched about 14 movies, and not about 14 movies, I watched 14 movies. I kind of did this the same way I did my first quarter, which was as soon as I watched a movie, I filmed myself talking about my thoughts on it and my rating for it. But like the last video, I didn't quite do it for every single movie. I did at least do it for most, but there are some that I didn't quite, for some reason, film for. So during those moments when it comes to that movie, we'll come back to right here, this Ellen, me, talking about the movie as best as I can remember. Because that's why I do this. I can't quite remember all my thoughts on movies 3 months later, so I will do my best. That is it for this intro. Let's just go right into the first movie that I watched.
I have watched my first movie of the second quarter. Hello. I'm ready to talk about it. I watched it a few days ago, but I've gathered my thoughts about it. But that is Teen Wolf, the movie. It's taken me a very long time to watch this movie because I was waiting to watch it with a friend, and both of our schedules have just not aligned, and we've both been kind of busy and things have been crazy in life, but we finally got a chance to sit and watch this movie together. And okay, so here's the thing. I'm giving it 2.5 stars. It is not a good movie. The writing is all over the place. It's so messy and the acting is very cheesy. But here's the thing. I go into Teen Wolf because I'm obsessed with the TV show. I've watched the TV show I think 3 times in my life, all the way, all seasons, all the way through. And it's a TV show that is cheesy and it's not great, but it's fun. And so watching this kind of brought back that nostalgia. And yes, granted, I also was missing a lot of the characters that we didn't get back. That was going to be obvious. So the nostalgia and my enjoyment is bringing it up because I feel like if it wasn't for that, it would be lower. Honestly, just for nostalgia alone, I'm giving it 4 stars, but overall, I think it's a 2.5 star movie. But let me give you a quick synopsis of the movie. I hope there's no spoilers in here if you haven't seen the show. But the pack is back. The wolves are howling once again as a terrifying ancient evil emerges in Beacon Hills. Scott McCall, no longer a teenager, yet still an alpha, must gather new allies and reunite trusted friends to fight back against this powerful and deadly enemy. Yeah, it was just fine. Alright, since I last saw you, I have seen 2 movies. First movie I saw was the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I went after work with a bunch of coworkers. We all loved it. We all had such a fun time. I don't know a whole lot about Super Mario Bros. I know little things, but I not much because I don't really play it. I've played Mario Kart a couple of times and I really enjoy Mario Kart. But other than that, there's not much I know about the Super Mario Bros. But the movie was just so fun, so entertaining, so cute. I ended up having a blast. I think I would have liked it more if I had known more about Super Mario Bros. Because I feel like there was a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of things that just kind of went over my head. But I'm giving it 4 stars because it was just such a fun time, and I think the voice cast was perfect. I know I was very concerned with some of the cast going in, especially Luigi and Mario, with Chris Pratt and Charlie Day. I was like, interesting choice, but it actually ended up working out, and I think it was very well done. I enjoyed it. And then the second movie I just watched is Renfield. This movie is a vampire movie, very fun. We've got Nicolas Cage, we've got Nicholas Hoult. Oh my god, 2 Nicholases. I really enjoyed this one. I found it funny, and I loved the action scenes. I think Nicolas Cage is a perfect Dracula. Oh my God. He was great at doing both comedy, but also making it kind of scary. And I loved the look of this movie. It's very neon. I do think not all of the casting for this movie was great. I love Aquafina, but I don't think I liked her in this movie. I think they could have chosen someone better. I think the reason for me is just because I didn't see any chemistry between Aquafina and Nicholas Hoult. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I also gave this movie 4 stars. Hello. Ooh, I am coming to you just freshly showered. And I wanted to talk about some movies that I've watched so far this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be watching anymore. But the first movie I watched was called Ghosted. It's on Apple TV with Anna de Armas, Chris Evans. It's an action romance, which has kind of been my sweet spot lately. I've been really enjoying action romances. This one was not one of the better ones. Salt of the earth Cole. What the hell does that mean? Salt of the earth Cole falls head over heels for enigmatic Sadie, but then makes the shocking discovery that she's a secret agent. Before they can decide on a second date, Cole and Sadie are swept away on an international adventure to save the world. I feel like that's not an accurate description, but sure. They didn't really explain what it was they were saving or trying to like get back from the evil guys. Like, they didn't really explain what this thing does. So I the whole time too, I'm like, why do we need to get this? I get they're evil and this is an evil object, but like, why is it evil? Ignore the mess that is behind me. Okay, great. I even like cleaned up today, but I did not clean that area. I cleaned this area that you can't see. I think it was just like lazily written, kind of generic and a bit too long. I also, I didn't like the way that they wrote the romance. Like, it was just like they fell in love, or not so much they fell in love, but they really liked each other, and then they hated each other, and then they liked each other, then they hated each other, and like it just kept going back and forth that I couldn't believe when they actually liked each other, because I was like, literally just 2 minutes ago you guys were fighting. It just, I couldn't get my head around it, but it was still fun. I especially love watching romance movies with my roommate, because anytime something happens, anything happens, we're both like hitting each other and getting excited. The thing I really loved about this movie was the cameos. There are so many cameos that I was not expecting, and they were great cameos. I loved them, and so for that I'm giving it 3.5 stars. Not great, but still enjoyable. So 3.5, maybe 3. Because the more I think about it, the more I want to make it a 3-star. You know what? It's going to be a 3-star. The next movie I watched, I just went to the theater yesterday and I saw this. It was Chevalier, which I was pronouncing Chevalier. I forget the French don't really pronounce their R's the way we do in English. So it's pronounced Chevalier, as I have learned. And this, as the description says, the illegitimate son of an African slave and a French plantation owner, Bologna rises to improbable heights in French society as a celebrated violinist, composer, and fencer, complete with an ill-fated love affair and a falling out with Marie Antoinette and her court. Inspired by the incredible true story of composer Joseph Bologna, Chevalier de St. George's. Yeah, so this is a true story about Joseph Bologna, which we didn't know about him until recently. We've started learning more and more about his story. He's essentially the very first Black classical violinist of this time and era. So we've started to learn more and more about who he is, because Napoleon Bonaparte, when he brought back slavery to the French people, he kind of destroyed a lot of Chevalier's work. He was friends with Marie Antoinette until something happens, and just, you know, had like a high ranking within French court, and being the only Black person that did that too, it was a feat. But this like movie is just about his journey and like his part in the French Revolution as well, because he actually did have a big part within the French Revolution. I enjoyed this movie, I did, but I do think it was a bit, the storytelling was generic, if that makes any sense. Like, I think it was very well made, but there was just something about it nagging at me that like I couldn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I think it was also just there were a lot of difficult scenes, and they're scenes that like we've seen this so many times. I don't need to keep seeing it. It just felt a little generic in its storytelling. Like I wasn't surprised by anything. The cast, however, is fantastic in this. They really, you can tell that there's a lot of passion into these characters that they put in. I think my favorite character is definitely the mom. You know, moms are gonna have those wisdom to lend to their child in times of need, and that definitely happened in this movie, and it was definitely needed within this movie. I enjoyed it. It just felt generic is my big take from it. So I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I also forgot to mention that because he was mainly a violinist and a composer, the violin scenes where he's like playing the violin are epic, which are basically the first scene and the last scene. Those two scenes were my favorite scenes because the music was incredible, and I was just in awe watching him play the violin. The other thing too is like it brought me back to college, because in college I took a classical music class, so I learned a lot about classical music, and for that class our teacher had us go to a lot of classical music performances to like write notes while there, and yeah, just kind of like that was our way of, he had that be like a way of studying, was to watch these musical performances and apply to what we've been learning in class to what we're hearing in these performances. And so it kind of took me back to those performances that I would go and see in college, and I remember loving those performances, and I don't know, it just brought me back to that, and I was like, I should go see more classical music performances. But yeah, the music was so good, especially that last scene. Oh my god, I don't know who wrote the music, if it was Chevalier, if it was actually his music, or if we had to have someone else compose his music.
Okay, so the first movie that I have to talk about that I did not film myself talking about is Polite Society. This was a fun movie. So this is about, we have a martial artist in training, Rhea Khan, believes she must save her older sister Lena from her impending marriage. After enlisting the help of her friends, Rhea attempts to pull off the most ambitious of all wedding heists in the name of independence and sisterhood. Yeah, no, this is a fun movie. It gets quite outlandish at times, but I absolutely loved this like mystery aspect and like crime aspect to the story. You know, just like what is going on with this guy and his mom. But the thing for me that really like took me out of the story was, I think our main character was just a little too over the top. It was just it was a lot too over the top, honestly. It's like one of those things where it's like, I can understand her getting that over the top about this guy and his mom and whatnot if they had given us a reason for her to be this way, but they hadn't. It was just, oh my goodness, my alarm. I just felt like she was getting this over the top because she was going to miss her sister, and she always thought that her sister was never going to get married because like they had talked about it or whatever, and then all of a sudden her sister's getting married, and so all of a sudden it just turned into like jealousy for this guy. That's what it felt like until you're more than halfway through the film, and then you start learning some like shady stuff about the groom and his mom, and then you're like, okay, now I understand why she's getting so overprotective. They never gave us a reason for her to be that way. So because of that, I was not on our main character's side. I was just very much like, okay, I'm on everyone else's side who was like, you're taking this a little too far. Because they never gave me a reason to be on our main character's side. Anyway, that is like my main critique about the movie. But overall, I did enjoy it. I had a fun time. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. Next, Peter Pan and Wendy. I love Peter Pan. I do not like the original Disney cartoon. I've tried rewatching it recently and could not finish it. But I love the book, and I just love this story. So anything that's like a Peter Pan retelling, I'm here for it. But this wasn't really a retelling. This was the story of Peter Pan, but they've made it a little different. And I actually enjoyed this one. I know not many people liked it, but I enjoyed it. Yes, not a lot of the acting was great. and it was hard to watch sometimes. But it was hard to watch because of like the acting, and not a whole lot of the writing was great. But the thing I loved about this movie was Jude Law, obviously. I will always love Jude Law in anything he does. I thought he was a great Hook, but also I loved this backstory between Peter Pan and Hook. We get a backstory about them, and oh my god, you guys, I loved it so much. I loved their backstory, and the way the movie ended too, I loved it. So I'm giving it 3 stars overall, just because I can't give it more than that, just for like the purposes of the acting. I actually liked it, I think, a lot more than I thought I would.
Has it got something in the nose?
Okay.
That's good. Alright, are we recording? Yes,
Yes.
we are. And I'm like, you see me like trying to fix. Oh.
Don't worry, I can edit all that out.
Okay, great.
Hi!
Hi.
I've got a special guest, my roommate, Araceli. We just saw a movie together, so we figured we'd talk about it together.
It's very impromptu for me. She just dropped it on me.
So the movie we watched.
Love Contraction.
No, that was
her movie.
was the name of the documentary within the movie.
Yes, yes. Like,
What do you?
Ellen, it's in your phone.
What was my phone's right there. What was the name of the movie? Oh my god.
What internet? This one.
What do you know about love? No, what's love got to do with it?
There you go, because the song, yes. What?
I knew it was like also the title of a song.
Got to do with it.
So we just saw What's Love Got to Do with It.
Yes.
A romance movie. I feel like it's both comedy and drama. About an arranged marriage between.
So a crama D.
I kind of like that. A comedy.
Coined right here, live, 2:23 p.m. on May 6th.
It had a lot of funny moments. It also had some, moments that were making us cry.
Yeah,
we were crying.
I think I might still have the tear stains on mine. Anyway.
Anyway, so the movie is about, there's 2 friends, they grew up together, they were neighbors. One of them is a documentary filmmaker, the other is getting an arranged marriage, and so she decides that she wants to film his arranged marriage for a documentary. But as you can tell, it's not all gonna go as planned. What would you give it out of 5 stars on a rating?
Damn.
Because I think I'm gonna give it a 4 star.
Yeah, I'm thinking at least 4.
Yeah.
I'm thinking at least 4.
For me, it's so hard to give 5 stars to a movie because 5 stars are like, it is perfect in my eyes. There's nothing I don't like about the movie. But I can still, like, really enjoy and really like a movie, but there's still something that can't get it up to 5 stars. Yeah. So that's where, like, my 4 stars are. My 4 stars are always movies that I really like, but there's just something about them that can't get to the 5 star, and I don't know what it is. But I really love this movie. Emma Thompson was my favorite part of the movie.
Is it the mom?
Yes.
Oh, she's great. She is great.
She was hysterical.
Oh, she was hilarious.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. Really liked it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about it?
Same. No, I mean, it was great. I actually love the depiction of the 2 cultures and how they just at least how do I say this? Their perspectives, each culture's perspectives view of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You get to see that, and that was really nice. Not that that's the only perspective, but just what was highlighted in this film.
Yeah,
in this movie.
I think one other thing I want to say, I really loved the relationship between the daughter and the mother, like Lily James and Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Especially too because the mom kept trying to set up her daughter with someone. And the daughter
he was cute. He was nice. He was great. He was good. He was a good guy.
I liked him.
Yeah, me too.
But I understand, like, it's not, he's not the guy for her.
Yeah, it's like, well, when you don't feel it, right?
Yeah, they were just in like with each other.
Yeah.
But,
or at least she was.
But I loved, like, that moment at the end between the 2 of them where they're kind of, like, fighting a little bit, but, like, also having a really beautiful moment at the same time. Like...
The one who she was in like with?
No, her and the mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
their dynamic and how it could go back and forth. Like, there's, like, obviously the familial love, but there's also the, like, Lily James's pressure to, I guess, have to be with a guy to make her mom happy. And just, like, feeling like she's not enough for her mom. And then the mom just, like, coming in with wisdom. I loved it.
Despite her silly, goofy self.
Yeah.
She's got some experience.
All right. That's the movie.
Yeah.
All right, hello. I just finished 2 movies. I did a double feature at the theater, but unfortunately they were both kind of mediocre movies for me. The first one was Air. I was really hoping to like this one because I know everyone likes this one, but I'm giving it maybe like 3.5 stars. When it comes to biographical movies, they can really be a hit or miss for me. Most of the time they're a miss, though. It takes a lot to keep my attention when it's something about some sort of like history, biography type movie. So like Tetris did that. That was interesting. That kept my attention. This just felt very boring. When it comes to watching movies in theaters, I don't like leaving the theater in the middle of a movie. But if I wasn't in a theater, I probably would have turned this off and stopped watching halfway through. Here's the thing. I do think the performances in this movie were good. It just wasn't an interesting enough story to really keep me engaged. That's pretty much the gist of it. But I'm giving it 3.5 because I think it was shot well and whatnot. But it was, and it's not a bad movie. I just don't think it was the movie for me. The next movie is Love Again. A rom-com that I was looking forward to, and I'm giving it 2 stars. Ugh. I hate saying that. Maybe 2.5. We'll think about it. So here's the thing. It's incredibly cheesy, and I love my rom-coms, and I love the cheesiness that comes with them, but this was just, like, bad cheesy. I liked Priyanka's storyline. I thought her storyline was very interesting and realistic. His did not do it for me. I'm sorry. When I watch rom-coms, it's for me to fall in love with the male character. That's why I watch them. There was nothing about him that really made me like him, if I'm being honest. Not like he was a bad guy, but he just, like, literally after reading one text, he was in love. Absolutely in love. And I just couldn't buy it. I also couldn't buy his whole relationship with Celine Dion. I couldn't buy a lot of stuff with him. But with her, you know, grief of her previous boyfriend passing away and, like, slowly falling in love with another guy, so interesting. I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. And the ending just, like, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot of things happened abruptly without much explaining to the audience. I don't know. So I didn't really like it that much. This was an upsetting double feature at the movie theater.
Alright, next we have Crater. This is a kids movie on Disney Plus. Let me get what it's about. So after the death of his father, a boy growing up on a lunar mining colony takes a trip to explore a legendary crater along with his 4 best friends prior to being permanently relocated to another planet. This movie is, you know, it's a fun kids movie about an adventure in space. And I was not expecting this movie to make me cry. But by the end, I was sobbing. You guys, I was sobbing. I was honestly rethinking about the movie. I want to cry again. So it's like, you know, these kids, they're on an adventure on the moon because that's where they live. They've never been out, like, outside of their little, like, hut or pod thing that they live in. But they escape. They run away just so they can go and see the specific crater that our main character's dad always wanted him to see. And it was just, it is a very fun movie. And I really thought like going into it, it's just going to be for kids, but I don't think this movie is just for kids. I think anybody can enjoy this movie. And it's got such a beautiful, heartfelt message that I love this movie so much. I don't have a lot to say about it. I just really want more people to watch this movie because I genuinely think this was one of the better movies I've watched this year. But I'm giving it 4 stars. I can't remember why I couldn't quite give it 5 stars, but it's a 4-star.
Hello, I have watched my next movie, and that is The Little Mermaid. I conquered my social anxiety to go to an incredibly packed theater to see this, and I really enjoyed it, you guys. I tend to actually love the Disney live-action remakes that are happening. I'm in the minority there. Like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, I loved those. Pinocchio was okay, and Lion King was okay. I think that's it that I've seen live action wise. Oh, I did see live action Cinderella, which I liked. The Little Mermaid, I was very excited for because this was my favorite Disney movie growing up. And so this just has like a lot, it has a place in my heart, a special place in my heart. And she's my favorite Disney princess. Prince Eric's my favorite Disney prince. So I was very excited for this. And I really liked it. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I feel like that's not what the average person is giving it. But I'm not your average person. I love Disney movies. And this one was just so fun, and it had so much life, and it was so colorful, and there were 3 new songs. 2 of them I liked. One I really didn't like. I did not like the song Scuttlebutt. That whole song that was happening, I was just waiting for it to end. But Halle Bailey is perfect as Cinderella. Whatever the guy's name is who played Prince Eric, he was perfect as Prince Eric. He even had like a whole solo song that I was like sitting in the theater just in awe watching him sing this song. I was like, also Melissa McCarthy as Ursula was absolute perfection. She really did well with that job, or that role. I thought she did really great with that role. I don't think Javier Bardem did that great as a king. The king as a character just felt very flat. And then, as much as I like Awkwafina, her voice was annoying in this role. I didn't like her as Scuttle. And I thought they could have used Flounder more. But overall, I had an absolute blast watching this movie. It was so much fun. And I think they did a lot of great work with the CGI on it, and it just looks fantastic. I think this movie was really great, which is why I am giving it 4.5 stars, and I don't care if people are like, you're wrong, it's not a 4.5 star movie. To me, it is.
Alright, another movie I watched was The Farewell. I have been wanting to watch this movie since it came out, just because it got like so much hype. I've always been excited to watch it. It looked like something I would enjoy, so I finally got the chance to watch it. This movie, a headstrong Chinese American woman returns to China when her beloved grandmother is given a terminal diagnosis. Billy struggles with her family's decision to keep Grandma in the dark about her own illness as they all stage an impromptu wedding to see Grandma one last time. I thought, I was going into this being like, this is going to be a comedy, this is going to be funny, but it's also going to like make me cry, and I was bored. I am so sorry, but I was so bored watching this movie. Half of it's in English, half of it's in Chinese. I will say I don't mind subtitles. I don't mind reading words on the screen. I absolutely love it. I have to have subtitles on the screen every time. There was like parts during the Chinese where, you have to watch the screen because else you don't know what's going on. But I found myself just like on my phone. I was like, I don't care about what's happening in this movie anymore. So unfortunately, I don't get the hype for this movie. Like, I think it's a great concept for a film, which is why I was so interested in it. But I don't know, maybe it was like underdeveloped for me. I wanted to learn more about Billy. And I wanted to get more of like the clash between like the American and the Chinese cultural differences, and they were kind of there. I just feel like they could have done more with it. But like after a while, I think it just kind of got repetitive. Like the story got repetitive, and I just wasn't really into it. I don't think it really got to like the comedic or the dramatic. It didn't go to where I wanted it to go with like the comedy and with the drama. It just kind of like stayed one note, I think, for me, which is why I got bored. I'm still giving it 3 stars because I do think it was filmed well and I do think the acting was really good. But yeah, I just couldn't get into the story. So 3 stars for me.
Hi. I just came from the movie theater. I saw this movie, Asteroid City. I liked it, but I also didn't like it. And I'm very confused. And I think I just need to like talk it out and like make sense of my thoughts. And then I can figure out what my rating of this movie is, because I actually don't know. So this movie, let me get a description. Okay, so this is the description of it. Set in a fictional American desert town circa 1955, the itinerary of a junior stargazer space cadet convention organized to bring together students and parents from across the country for fellowship and scholarly competition is spectacularly disrupted by world-changing events. So this is a Wes Anderson film. If you don't know what a Wes Anderson film is, it is hard to explain, I feel like. Wes Anderson films have a very like specific look and feel about them. They like, the shots look very aesthetically pleasing. It looks like you know, careful thought was put into every single shot. The way that they talk is all very deadpan most of the time. And a lot of times they also talk really fast, and a lot of times I don't understand what they're saying. But it's very stylistic, and it's kind of like a style that if you see it, it can only be Wes Anderson. It's like you have to just like experience it to understand a Wes Anderson film. I do think there were a lot of parts where they talked very fast and I couldn't understand what they were saying or what was going on, especially when a lot of the fast talking was about science stuff, and I need that to be repeated very slowly and explained to me like I'm a child. I did like the acting in the sense of like, even though it seems very deadpan, it still has a lot of emotion in it. I really liked the characters and I liked this story. It was very interesting. I also laughed a lot. Okay, not a lot, but there were a lot of moments where I actually laughed out loud. And if you've been on my channel before, you know I don't laugh out loud very often when it comes to movies. I'll laugh in my head. But if you can get me to laugh out loud, then it's funny. So there were a lot of funny moments and I enjoyed it. Because, okay, here's the thing. I think I liked the Asteroid City part of the story. I didn't like the black and white part of the story. When we kind of broke away from Asteroid City and went, I guess, like behind the scenes of Asteroid City. I'm trying to explain it without giving spoilers. But I felt like all of that wasn't needed and really took me out of the story and also left me with a lot of confusion. There was like one scene where they kept shouting, "You can't wake up if you're not asleep." I don't understand what that means and why they kept shouting it at me like 9 times. So yeah, it's like, I liked the one aspect, like the one story. I really, really did not like the other story. It was just so confusing. And my thoughts are still jumbled. Those are all my thoughts right now. I think Editing Ellen is going to have to come back with a rating because I don't have one at the moment. I don't. Honestly, I think I need to talk to some people at work who have seen this movie, and I need to talk to a human about this. Because maybe they understand it and they can explain it to me, and that will help me like it more. I don't know, because here's the thing, I did like it. I liked it. I had an enjoyable time watching it, but like, I'm also so confused and I don't understand the point of the movie. I'll come back. After about like a week's worth of consideration, I have come to the conclusion that it is a 3.5 star movie for me. Hello. Can you tell what day I am filming this on. It's like, it's not July 4th, it's actually July 3rd, but I wanted to be festive at work today. So, actually, I've never gotten more compliments on my outfit before. Like, I even had random people on the street yelling at me from their cars saying that they thought my outfit was cute. I was like, thank you. I didn't even think I dressed that cute today. Honestly, let me show you. Let me see, can I? That's what I wore today. I was also not expecting a lot of people in the office, and there were quite a few people. I was shocked. Anyway, while I was editing, I noticed that I completely forgot to film and talk about the TV shows that I watch. I forgot that's also a thing I do. So I'm going to do that now, right here. And for those who haven't been here before, I rate my TV shows differently than my movies. I don't give them like a 5-star rating. I don't know why. I can't seem to figure it out. It's based off of 3 things. Either I dislike it, I like it, or I love it. So I'm going to discuss some of the TV shows I've been watching. There haven't been many. I just haven't really been in like a watching mood. Okay, in April I watched 2 shows. Number 1 was Jury Duty, season 1. I think I'm gonna put this as a love. Yeah. I think it started off as a like, but by that last episode, I was tearing up and it turned absolutely into a love. We have this guy going to jury duty, and he thinks that it's like a documentary that they're filming about how jury duty works and the people on jury duty and whatnot. But what he doesn't know is that everybody is an actor and it is all fake. It's almost kind of like the Truman Show. And it's just like kind of like, I guess, an experiment to see how he handles certain things. We even have James Marsden playing James Marsden, but like a very egocentric version of himself. And which was funny. I don't know. It was just incredibly funny. And I love these types of shows where they have to like think off the cuff and it's like improv-y. Because you just never know what he's gonna do or what he's gonna say. And like, this show was funny, but it also warmed my heart. And yeah, like I said, I was crying by the end. So this was a love. Then I also watched Schmigadoon season 2, which is more like a Schmicago. So this is about, well, the first season and the second season are kind of the same, except it's following different types of musicals. So with this season, our 2 main characters, their relationship has been like, I don't want to say faltering, but there's been some issues and some problems. So they want to go back to Schmigadoon. But they end up going to Schmicago instead of Schmigadoon. So now they're in this like world where all the musicals don't have happy endings. So you've got Chicago, you've got Sweeney Todd, you've got Annie, you've got Hair. You've got a bunch of different musical references of like that type of era of musicals in this season. And I liked it. This was a like. I think I loved the first season. This season, it just wasn't as good as the first one. Like, it just didn't hit, but it was still fun to watch. And then in May, I actually watched 5 TV shows. So May was a great month for TV. The first show, Queen Charlotte. I just love. It needed to be more episodes than just 6. Like, why did they make it just 6 episodes? I needed it to be like 12, you know? This is a kind of like a prequel to the Bridgerton series, where we follow Queen Charlotte in her younger days when she's marrying the king and dealing with all that we kind of know a little bit from Bridgerton, where, you know, something's not quite right with the king. They call him like the Mad King. Not in like an evil way, but like medically there's something wrong with him. I believe in Bridgerton he has dementia, but it kind of all starts here. But it's their romance, and it was probably like the saddest thing I've watched in a while. Maybe the saddest thing I've watched since Julie and the Phantoms. I just love this. I fell in love with King George. He became my phone's background for a while. But right now we're still on Prince Eric. The next TV show is School Spirit, season 1. This I'm going to put as a like. I really loved the beginning. Middle was like fine, like I was still interested and invested, but I was just kind of like, okay, when are we going to get to it? And then the ending, what an ending. I need to know if there's going to be a second season, because that blew my mind. So we follow a girl who is dead. We're following her ghost. she is in the afterlife, but she died at school, so she's stuck at the school, and she's trying to like solve her murder basically, but she's also interacting with all the other ghosts that died at the school. She's able to interact with one living person, and together they try and solve her murder basically, because she can't remember it. I really, really enjoyed this, and I need a second season. Next we have Citadel, season 1. This is a dislike. This is in my dislike pile. I know a lot of people who actually really liked this and loved it even, but this is a dislike for me. I actually ended up watching the entire thing, but I was bored. I also hated the many spinning shots. It like always started with a spinny shot and ended with a spinny shot, and I was just like, that's not needed. I didn't like it, and the story was just not compelling and engaging for me, and like, I thought it would be. I was really hyped for this, and it just really fell flat for me. I also just didn't like really any of the characters, but I don't know, I couldn't get into it. But we have a group of spies called Citadel, where they don't really work for any nation, any country. They're kind of on their own, but then it like falls, and we have like 2 survivors left, and they were kind of like a couple when they were part of Citadel, but they have lost all of their memories, so they can't remember being spies and being a part of Citadel, but they have to come together to kind of stop this evil that is happening. Yeah, so it sounded interesting, and I really liked the trailer, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. Another show that I'm very sadly that I disliked is Our Flag Means Death. I actually kind of stopped watching it. I watched, I want to say 4 or 5 episodes, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't finding it. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I just wasn't finding it funny, and I wasn't finding myself wanting to watch it. But it's a comedy that is following pirates, but they're not quite acting like pirates usually act. Like, it's a very rich fellow who's like proper, that's the captain, and all of his like people under him they want to, you know, murder. And he's like, no, we're just gonna talk this out. We're not gonna murder. But they like, you know, encounter other pirates along the way and get stranded on islands and whatnot. And I thought it was gonna be funny. And it just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. And then the last TV show that I watched in May was EXO Kitty. I was watching this because it's a spin-off of the To All the Boys I Loved Before movie series, which I love. And so this one's following the younger sister Kitty and her love story. And I remember thinking it was probably just going to be like a stupid little teen show, but maybe I can just like fly through it really quickly. And yes, I was able to fly through it really quickly, but that's also because I really liked it. I liked this. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. So she gets transferred to a school in South Korea. It's the same school that her boyfriend goes to. So she gets there. He's got a girlfriend. It was just so fun. And I think it is getting a second season. And so I'm very excited to actually watch a second season of this. Especially with like the way it ended. I'm like, I will say it does not end how you think it is going to end. And then, sorry to end on a bad note, but I only watched one TV show in June, and that unfortunately was a show I did not finish. I watched 3 episodes, and then I just had to stop, but it was Americanborn Chinese. I watched the trailer, and I thought I was really going to like it, and I thought it was going to kind of also give me EXO Kitty vibes, but like differently. Like, it was just going to be another like teen show to get into that was going to like, I was going to eat up, and it was just going to go really quickly. I could not get into this, and I don't know why. So we have a kid in high school who is Asian, and he kind of gets not picked on. What is it? But like they put a lot of stereotypes on him, and he's trying to just like blend in, be normal, and just like go with the flow and just try to ignore all that. And then this new kid starts who is also Asian, so they pair them up together to be like, show him around and become friends with him because, you know, he's Asian, you're Asian. And he like doesn't want to because this guy's really weird. But turns out this weird new kid is actually from a different realm and is like, you are my guide and you need to help me find the 4th scroll. And so they kind of like go on this crazy quest or whatever. But I got 3 episodes in, and I think I'm just gonna stop because I'm not invested. I'm not feeling it. Again, I don't think there's anything bad with it. I think maybe it's a little too corny or cheesy, and the writing is also a little corny and cheesy, but like, other than that, there's really nothing wrong with it. I just can't seem to get into it. But that is it for TV shows.
Thank you so much for watching this video. That is it. Those are all the movies that I watched. Here is a list of all the movies I watched within order of my favorite to my least favorite of this second quarter. I also did the same thing for my books. If you want to learn about the books that I read within this second quarter, because I did get out of my reading slump, which is fantastic. I'm reading more again. And I will link that down below. But other than that, I will see you guys later with more videos. Bye!